This one we kind of talked about this head shape, so I kind of eliminated those for now because this is sort of where he arrived at. I think I'm going to try and just do an overlay over this. So I think there's some good shapes here. I think they got to be sort of refined. Like when you do things like this, oops, like this. Hang on a sec. This here, where you're not describing it very well, that's a problem. I think this we could simplify. He's got a lot of bulk to his this here, so does this come down? I don't like that at all. The first thing I try and do is get all this mapped. And we're sort of doing them from a 3/4 view and a front view, or at least I am. So let's go back to his original a little better. And map this out. You know, how does that beard or mustache work? And you can start just like he has here with these basic shapes. Then again, we got to define these eyes. You know, what are you going for here? You know, does he have big bushy eyebrows? If you're going to make a statement with the ears, pull them out and make a statement. Give him a little bit of sideburns here. Maybe even a little hair here. Then maybe there's a tie here. I'm not sure. I'm going to make it smaller just to sort of go against it, the girth of his head and the rest of him. And pull this out a little more. And then I like this, like his belly hanging over here. But what it'll do is it'll sort of hang like that a little bit. Then he's got a sleeve on, which is good. I like that they're a little bit long. You know, and then let's get into some whatever we're going to do with that hand. And that also is just a design thing. Then it looks to me like he's got a... Now this looks like a vest or something to me. I'm going to pull it down more. And then we can have the... It looks like an apron to me. That's going to have a little hold in it. Maybe he's got his towel hanging off there. I mean, I'm going with waiter. I don't know what he's going with. It's just it's feeling like that to me. And then again here, I got to make a decision on how I'm going to handle this. And I think smaller feet again to play against the all this other stuff. The weight of it would be nice. Let's put a little fold there. And this little vest would probably get some... When you're doing things like this this random mark making, we don't want any random mark making. We want really, you know, we want to know what the person is trying to say with that mark. I want to give his nose a little bit of tone. It does a couple of things. I got to go back in and reinforce my line. But it does a couple of things here. I'm going to give him a little bit of value around his eyes. Now you don't want to go too far with all this stuff early on. Give a little value to his ears. And then I can come back in with a eraser and just give his nose a little bit of a highlight. And then I'm going to come in here. So that's just one way I might kind of push that a little bit. But that would just be my start. It would never, that quickly doesn't usually happen. I'm going to soften that up a little bit. Start softening up a little of these lines here. And there's just so many ways to handle the beard. I'll go through different ones as we're doing this. Or the hair. I'm going to give him really bushy eyebrows. So that's another way to go. I'll do a quick thing on this one because it's starting to look kind of anime-ish to me. And again, it's starting to have design things and mark making that I don't know if it makes sense for the character. When you start doing this spiky hair thing, it's usually kind of an anime thing. And the only reason I'm always not hot on anime is it usually isn't very well drawn, and I know there's some that is. They just keep using these same tropes over and again, so it doesn't feel very unique or anything. But I think that this kind of face shape, I don't think that's necessarily bad. I think I'd soften it a little. And I'm getting messages on here, so I apologize for that if you guys are hearing them. You know, so maybe do something else with the hair. I don't know what. That's up to you. I mean, you can still keep the big eyes or something. That's fine. I'd lose the spiky hair and I'd come up with some idea for that. Looks like it's put up, like in a bun or something. I wouldn't worry necessarily about this prop here yet. I think I'd get this figured out first. And it feels, I mean, she's sort of, here it feels a lot lankier, which I think is kind of cooler. And it looks like a vest, but maybe you can elongate some of these features. Or some of her anatomy, I should say. And how I usually do this is how I just did this and all of this. I don't really go in and start doing a whole lot yet. I'm just trying to find some kind of design. And I'm also not that worried about pose yet at all. But I will be. I don't like this arm at all. It needs to have a bend or something to it. Put that center axis there, that way you know where your eyes land. And again, I'm not sure who this character is. You know, and just start kind of building it up a little more, and let's get away from this sort of anime language. Okay, so these, I don't know who this character is. You guys got to start labeling who the characters are. But I'm liking this one quite a bit, in sort of this direction. It's too early to define things, but you know, what's that hair do? You know, and hair's sort of a, especially this kind here. I don't have enough room here. And I know we're early on, and I'm not really asking you to define things out all that much. But just remember where the different sort of planes of it are. This side, this side. You can kind of use that to design things. I'd look at some different eye options here. But, you know, and I don't know exactly what. Again, I just try things. I don't know how old this character is. Give her a little more attitude. And I'm not sure if this is... See, this is where it gets a little tricky, is when I don't know what certain things are, like this shape here. Is that sort of a collar? It's coming up around part of her shirt. You know, clarify this stuff. You don't want so much noise going on here. I think this is one of those sort of pockets like on a hoodie, I think. And of course, I could be wrong. You know, if this is sort of a puffy thing, unify it so it's not so sort of confusing. You know, really think about your mark making here. Might make it a little bigger if this is a decorative edge, so I can read it a little more. Remember that this wraps around. That just always helps me to remember that. Oops. So I'd pick 2 or 3 of these. Maybe make that your statement. I always like these. Again, make it a little bigger statement. A little more pleasing curves in there. And then tomorrow, let me know. I want to know who this character is. So anyway, just pushing it a little bit and playing around with it. Okay, on these, I like that there's a lot of exploration here, which is what I think you guys should be doing. And the one that I'm liking here is this guy here. I just think there's an interesting shape language of the face. I do an overlay over it, but I think she's kind of on her way, and I have to see where Haley is right now. She's probably already kind of gone down the path on these, so I'll see those tomorrow. Okay, these I like the shape language, and also he has quite a few of them. Where do my layers go? There they are. This one, this one, this one. Let me put a new drawing layer here. I mean, I like the shape language here, but I think this right here is getting too derivative. There's some character in some Spider-Man movie that looks very similar to that. So I kind of like this guy a little more. Feels a little more, I don't know, rough and not as obvious. This guy might be fun to play with right here. I think I'd actually play around with that one a little more. I'd iterate on that one. But anyway, the rest of these I'll go over because I just realized that my screen didn't capture a few things, but I'll go over it tomorrow in class. The rest of, any other questions we have.